everyone. This is Terri Wilson, Terri A. Wilson, and I'm here with another pop-up interview. If you've never seen one of my pop-up interviews, the whole premise behind them is you never know when they're going to happen. They just happen. And it gives me a chance to talk with people all across the world that I wouldn't normally get to talk to. My production budget for this is zero, so I don't have the ability to travel all over the place. So thanks to the internet, I get to bring people into my office and we get to talk about things, well, my favorite topic, which is books. Now,
Yes.
the best way to find out about when a pop-up interview comes up is to press the bell and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Every time you do, and then when you do, and then I post a video, an interview, you get an email notification that something new has been coming up, that you can go look at it. And while you're there, right next to it is the thumbs up, and just go ahead and push the thumbs up, because I know you're going to like this interview, because we don't do bad interviews. I don't do bad interviews. And I know my friend Tracie doesn't do bad interviews. And so Tracie Roberts is here tonight. Hi, Tracie. How are you?
Hey there. Doing pretty good. Thank you.
Good. And she's going to come talk to us about a whole new venture that she has going on. But before she does that, I wanted to brag a little bit. I have, hold on, I'm with technology here. Drum roll. Tracie did a book cover for an anthology that I was in, and it was beautiful. And I'm really happy and was so excited that she was able to do this for us. So I wanted to show everybody. This kind of hard to see without the glare, but this was A Legacy of Love, and she designed this book cover. Tracie, you did wonderful.
Thank you so much. I love doing graphics.
Oh, I loved this book cover. It was beautiful. And it was great for Valentine's, the red and the black.
It was. That was the whole purpose behind it, was to make sure it represented love, and y'all were releasing on Valentine's Day, so I wanted that to all tie together.
Okay. Now, you said you love doing graphics, so do you do other book covers?
Actually, I have done the book covers for my newest series that we're going to talk about in a minute. Both of the books that are out right now, I did those covers.
Okay.
I haven't done any others, but I've sort of been like honing that craft for the last 2 or 3 years because I'm self-taught.
Okay. What draws you to the graphic arts?
Probably the fact that, unlike writing a book, it can be done pretty quickly. You can get a book cover, a graphic done within a week and see the end product, and then just putting it all together. And I guess it's the creative side of it, like with writing and with any other art, the creative side is something that I just thrive on. I want to express myself in as many different creative ways as possible, and this is just one of them. I can't draw, I can't sculpt, but I can certainly manipulate pictures.
Okay. Do you use your own pictures, or do you use stock photos?
Stock photos.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to go into photography at all?
No, not really. My daughter, who had the surgery this morning, bless her heart, she wanted to be a photographer. So we have a really expensive camera that's not getting used right now. But I don't have any interest in taking pictures. I just have interest in doing the graphics, the manipulation.
Do you find that when you're doing something artistic and using a different artistic skill in your brain, does it help your writing as well?
I think so. And I've written a blog post about this last year about how manipulating photos, manipulating graphics, sewing, doing crafts, because I make crafts also as swag for any of the signings that I go to. Working with crafts that way, it does help me come up with, maybe not come up with new ideas, but I can sit there and like let my hands work, and then my mind is free to think and explore and to follow threads of a story that I'm writing. And usually I can work things out that way.
Okay. Now you mentioned you did the covers for your new series, and you have a
Yes.
whole new adventure going on.
Yes, I'm very excited about it too, because this is a hot niche genre right now in the last 2 years, sweet romance. Or clean and wholesome. Some people call it clean and wholesome, but sweet romance where there's no cussing and no sex that's on the screen, no gratuitous violence. And my mom asked me to write a book that she would be able to read because she really didn't want to read the ones that I've already written because of the sex and the violence and the cussing. So I said, okay, Mama. And before she passed, I told her that I was writing one, and I just finished the first full-length novel and did the edits last week, and it releases on Wednesday.
Okay, so and you're using a pen name for this, right?
I am.
And so what's the pen
Maci
name?
Collins.
Say again?
Maci Collins. I'm
Ma-
sorry, Maci Collins.
Maci Collins?
Yes, Maci Collins.
And what's the title of book one?
Book one is Skimming the Surface, and I have a picture of it right here. Let's see if we can see it. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty.
Thank you.
I like the colors
Yep.
of that.
I'm hoping you can see them well. It's a lot of lavenders and blues. It's very beachy because it's set on a northeast Florida beach town.
Okay, well, the blues are coming through really well, but we can't see much of the lavender, but it's still very beautiful.
It's up on Amazon now, so
Okay.
anybody that wants to see it could pull up the picture there,
We'll wait till the
and
end.
on my website.
Don't go,
Okay, thank
don't
you.
go check it out now. Wait till the end, see all of
Yes, not
this.
now.
Now, was it difficult to switch from like more graphic sex to sweet sex?
Um, Not really, because I think by nature I don't want to say that I'm a prude, but I don't write a lot of sex scenes to begin with. The books that I did write under my own name, Tracie Roberts, um, they didn't have sex until the third or fourth book. So it was mostly teenage and young adult or new adult cussing and violence in it, and the sex came later. But that's not something that I would normally write anyhow. That's the direction that the book took me in, or the
Mhm.
storyline took me in, and those were the characters and their actions and their speech, their behaviors that had to come out. So that's what I did with that series. I really found it a lot easier to write this sweet romance because I'm not around violence and cussing in my real life, so it's easier for me to write this.
Mhm. I was in another anthology at Christmas time,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a sweet romance, and it
Mm-hmm.
was the only thing I found that was difficult about it was the swearing part, and I think that's because I tend to not have the nicest, cleanest language around.
Well, when I get mad, I don't either. But it really was easy. I mean, even I wrote cops and football players in the two books that I've released under this pen name, and I mean, they don't say gosh darn, but I mean, I use dang and crap and heck and dadgummit and all these southern sayings that you know we hear all the time, and it was pretty easy to use and pretty easy to write that way.
Hmm. Well, and I know that I think I really think there are more people in life who don't swear all the time than there are people who do swear all the time.
Probably so, and I think it has a lot to do with society and the expectations. I mean, if you went to a restaurant and a family restaurant, and you heard someone, a group of guys near you, using bad language, and your kids were there, you'd probably either give them a look, or your husband might get up and go over and say, "Excuse me, we're trying to have a family dinner. Could you please lower your voice? My children are here," or something like that. I don't think that we're accustomed to it in social settings. It's getting more acceptable, but I still don't think it's as acceptable as what it is in a lot of books that are written. Or maybe I just don't hang out with those people. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I know that the books that I'm writing does have sex in it.
Mm-hmm.
It has sex in them. And I know that sometimes that is the hardest part of the story to write, is the sex.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because you can't just say they went to bed, they fooled around, they kissed, they fell asleep, went home the next day.
Right. Right. You can't do that when readers are expecting sex.
Right.
When readers are not expecting, like in clean or sweet romance, they're not expecting graphic sex. So you can say things like that, but I think more with the clean and wholesome or sweet romance, it has to do with the feelings and the emotions behind it. It can still be sensual without being sexual.
Mm-hmm.
It can still be a little hot without being graphic.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's good that authors have seen a need for these type of romance books, and that they realize that there are readers out there who want this, and so they're addressing that need. It's the same thing as I know in the science fiction world, they're always talking about they want women who are in leadership roles,
Right.
who are captains of the spaceship. And so more and more people are writing books that are like that.
Yes.
They're
Yes,
fun.
exactly.
And so that's what you're doing. And I think it's great, because I think it's a great example of, great is the word for the day, by the way. It's
great.
It's
So
an
glad.
great. It's an awesome example of the power of fiction. Fiction is for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I don't dislike zombie books. I just have a hard time being entertained by zombie books. But I know that there are people who love zombie books, and not just your typical zombie who's walking around like Day of the Dead or The Walking Dead, but like zombies who are full-fledged characters that have a character arc and everything.
And I don't read zombies either, but yes, I'm sure with The Walking Dead as popular as it is, there is a need for those books. Readers do want those books.
Yeah.
They have a reader, an audience somewhere.
And I think that's just a great example. It's great. It's great. Of the power of books.
Yes.
And people don't realize, I saw something today, it was a meme or an article with the author who did The Hate U Give. And the person was asking her a question, and a lot of schools and libraries are banning that book. And the reason they're banning that book is because of the foul language that's in that book.
Yes.
She went on to give her opinion of why she thinks her book is banned, and it's not because of the foul language. But I think it's a good example of it's a great example of the impact that books have on our lives.
Yes.
Here's a story that needed to be told. There are readers out there who are clamoring for fiction that represents their life.
Yes.
And it's a privilege as authors that we get that opportunity to give it to them.
Yes. Yes, and I can totally understand why it may be banned, but it's representative of life, the life that we're living, society that we have right now, and it draws awareness to issues that are happening right now with some of our disenfranchised citizens.
Mhm.
And it is something that needs to be brought to the forefront of our education system, but unfortunately, because of language and possibly because of violence, it can't be taught as a classroom novel. I teach also. That's my day job. Is I'm a teacher, a high school English teacher, and we can't teach that book in class, but we can certainly encourage students to find it in the library and read it if they want to read it, and because they've seen the movie.
Mhm.
And of course, we know the book is probably always better than the movie. But we have some of our middle school teachers that are reading that book and encouraging their middle schoolers, their 12, 13, 14-year-olds to read this book outside of class with their parent permission. But it's something that is reflective of the society that my students in particular don't get a glimpse of because they are sheltered, rural, white children.
What grades are you teaching this year?
This year I have 10th, 11th, and then before Christmas I had 12th graders. Thank goodness they're gone. They were done. They were done in September, but I had them until December, and I'm just glad that they're gone and they can go an adult now, and I don't have to deal with them. I love them, but I just don't have to deal with them.
Yeah, 12th grade, actually, I only taught one time. No, they were 11th graders who needed to pass to go into 12th grade, and it was summer school.
Uh-huh.
So they were essentially seniors, but only if they passed English during summer.
Yes.
That was lots of fun.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you the best teaching experience I ever had was during summer school, where I was teaching 10th graders summer school, because if they messed up one time, they were out. That's it, one time. And and this was an inner city school, and they were the most well-behaved children because they wanted to be there to get their credit so they could go on and do whatever. And I think it was part of like a program where they had magnet programs at the schools that had all come together for this summer school over the summer for that credit. And they knew that if they didn't pass English 2, they wouldn't be able to go into the programs they wanted to go into in the fall. And so they really worked hard.
My first teaching job was an inner city school.
Mine
And
too.
I taught there for 3 years.
Me too.
And then the administration was in such a way that I always felt like my job was in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
And because I started as an intern, I didn't get tenure. My intern year didn't count towards tenure. So I was always afraid I was going to get fired because the administration was that was how they tried to control people is, if you don't do what you say, we're going to, fire you. So I quit and went to a school in a much more affluent area.
Mm-hmm.
I only lasted there for a year. I hated it. I really did.
Yes, sometimes students who are privileged have a different mindset than students who are not, and maybe don't appreciate. They don't appreciate good teachers.
Yeah. And then I ended up in the library at a school district that was it was half and half. So it was a lot more balanced. But I loved being in the library. And once I was in the library, I was there for 7 years. And then I started teaching teachers, which that was a whole other can of worms. So what novels are you teaching this year?
We just finished The Great Gatsby in my 11th grade class. We're touching on Macbeth in my 10th grade class, but the way that teaching is right now here in Florida is just, it's nuts. With, you don't teach whole novels, you teach parts of novels and teach the standards with those parts. And I'm like, that's not a complete education, that's not a complete literary and English education. So I do honestly what I'm told, and do the best I can for my kids with what I can do for them. I taught The Things They Carried, which was Vietnam by Tim O'Brien, Vietnam Story by Tim O'Brien, to my seniors. They enjoyed that. But I, like you, I have a number of students who have to pass the FSA, which is our state exam, to graduate, and I have 9 juniors that those are the ones that I'm teaching so they can pass that test. And that's what we focused on a lot this year, is trying to get them to pass that test.
My favorite 2 novels was To Kill a Mockingbird. I taught us for freshman year.
Yep.
And then Of Mice and Men. We taught in this 10th grade year.
And we can't teach that here because of the language. I mean, it has such bad language in it. Yeah. But our 9th graders did teach, or did learn and read To Kill a Mockingbird this year. And I love that book.
Oh, yeah. The Scarlet Letter.
Yes.
Old Man and the Sea.
Haven't read that one.
Of Mice and Men.
And I love that book.
And then The Sun Also Rises.
Okay.
Those were my favorite classic books to teach when I was in high school, to teach the kids when I was teacher.
Yes. I love To Kill a Mockingbird and The Great Gatsby. Those are my 2 favorite. We did read The Crucible also. It's like I have to think back because it's like last semester was so long ago. But we did read The Crucible in 10th grade, and the kids loved it. They were so mad at the end.
Oh, yeah.
It was just to see their faces. It's like, what? Why did they do that? And then, I'm not giving anything away. People need to go read The Crucible. But they were indignated, and I'm like, well, that's the way it was, darlings.
Yeah. Tell me that they're not still teaching Great Expectations.
I don't teach Great Expectations. I don't know anybody that does in my school.
Okay.
I think that they have them and encourage them. Students, especially AP and dual enrollment students, they will read it. Well, the AP students for sure, because they'll find it'll be on their test. Yep. Something like it will be on their test. So they encourage the AP students to read it, but I don't teach Great Expectations. I didn't read Great Expectations.
It's a tough one. It's like, yes. I really like Shakespeare, but I hated teaching Shakespeare.
I can hear you on that. I love teaching Macbeth. I don't want to teach Romeo and Juliet. I would rather teach, the witch stuff, the violent stuff, the not lovey-dovey, the war, everything like that, and none of the histories either. I don't want to teach the histories, but I can get my kids into Macbeth with the witches and the prophecies and the dying, and they're crazy about that.
Yeah, see, I did Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, and Hamlet.
Yeah, I can't do Hamlet or Julius Caesar. I just don't like those two.
Well, I like all of those plays. Well, I don't really like Julius Caesar that much. And Romeo and Juliet, it kind of gets old.
It does.
And then
it does. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just want to, and even modern day books, I don't know if you're like this, but man, sometimes I wish I could just crawl into the pages and smack people around. and say, could you
Yes,
just grow up or just do this?
I
Yeah.
know. I recently read Todrick Kendall's, um, oh my goodness. It's the one that has the three friends, Leo and Nate and Quinn. She wrote um,
I don't know her.
the Keeping Score. I'm sorry, Keeping Score box set. It was awesome, but I wanted to crawl in there, like you said, and I just wanted to smack Leo because he was such an arrogant little snot. And the way he treated his friends, you're like, you don't treat your friends that way. Just because you're popular and y'all grew up together and they didn't keep up with you, you don't treat them that way. You stick with your friends. And I understand about growing up, and you grow and change, especially when you move from childhood to middle school to high school and then on to college. But if your friends have stuck with you that long, you don't turn on them. And I
No.
really wanted to hurt that character. And I'm surprised that the girl Quinn took him back so many times.
Well, I'll have to go check that one out. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Now, you mentioned swag and conventions.
Yes.
Are you going to Space Coast?
I am not going to Space Coast this year. It just didn't work out in my schedule, but I will be at Indie Book Fest in August.
Good.
With Tadra and Mandy in Orlando. And I am going to volunteer at the Florida Writers Association convention. That's the big one in October down in Orlando. I will be volunteering there. I think I'm introducing speakers and collecting evaluation forms and things like that. But I'm like, whatever. I'll be surrounded by my tribe.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
Yeah. When you go to the convention, will you go as Marcy Collins? Will you go as Tracie Roberts? Or will you go as both?
Both. I primarily Tracie Roberts because I have the complete finished set of those books that are written in my first name. But Maci Collins is a new pen name that's coming out, and I want to have books ready for that. So I haven't decided whether I'm going to make a new banner or not, but I will definitely have both books there, or both series there. It's not a secret, this pen name. I just wanted to make sure that it was separated, because I have had a number of people, when I went to signings this past year and announced that I was starting this new pen name with Sweet Romance, I had a number of readers who were like, ooh, I want to be on that mailing list. So I want them to know that they're available, but I'm not not being secretive about the names.
Okay. I thought of a question and I forgot. It must not have been very great. It must not have been very great.
I'm sure it was great. Yes.
I was going to ask you about, you're working full-time during the day and you're writing, yes, and your daughter she's old enough to be in high school now, isn't she?
Yes, I have 2 daughters. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've got this huge full life. How do you balance everything?
I don't. It teaching takes over during the school year. I probably get 1 or 2 books a year written and published. That's it. I have a very slow publishing schedule. But I'm fortunate because both of my daughters are graduated. My older daughter is autistic and she will always be with us, but she's relatively self-sustaining for the most part. She can take care of herself for the most part. And my younger daughter just graduated from high school this past June, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. So I'm lucky that I don't have small children to run after. I also prioritize everything. There's so much that the school system, especially Florida's school system, wants from us. it's like, if I don't get it done at school, at work, it's not going to get done. And I've been doing this for 21 years, and I'm just like, once I leave school, I'm done with school. I'm not going to bring it home with me, because
Mm-hmm.
this is my time at
Mm-hmm.
home to do the things that I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
So
We
I
never
might not
ask,
get to write every day. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we never ask our doctors to bring patients home,
Right.
but we ask teachers to bring
Exactly.
work home all the time.
Yeah, no. And we don't get planning periods in my county. The planning period that we have is an hour before school. Our high school starts at 9 o'clock. We're expected to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And from 8 to 9 is our planning period. So like I said, if it doesn't get done at school, it's not getting done. And I just, I figure I'm a very good, efficient organizer of my time while I'm working.
So last question, I read that Florida is not going to fall back this year.
Really?
Yeah. I
I
heard that
haven't read
Florida is going to
that.
stay on this time schedule. You didn't hear that?
I didn't hear that. I don't listen to that. I was just like, I do what I'm told here. But it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have to double check. Maybe I wasn't hearing something that was true, or maybe I just shared something that you didn't know. Who knows?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. We did vote on that. And I remember on the news last week, they said that it still has to go through like our Congress here, our
Oh, okay.
House or something. Yeah, so we did vote on it, and I guess we voted, no, we don't want to keep, changing in daylight savings time, but it has to be passed by Congress, Florida Congress. So
Okay.
it's whatever to me. I think in this day and age, honestly, we have enough technology and we work such odd hours that we don't need to do daylight savings time.
Oh, yeah. I would agree
You
with
know?
the whole odd hour things. That's true. It's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tracie, thank you so much for coming and for staying at your place. I stayed at my place for this great interview. It was
Thank
great.
you. It was great.
And thank you everybody for watching. Like I said in the beginning, the best way to find out about the pop-up interviews, one is you can go to my website, terriawilson.com, and click the link that says pop-up interviews. I'm looking for authors. I'm looking for bloggers. Tracie, was this painful?
No, this was fun.
Authors, bloggers, readers. If you're a service provider, you're an editor, or you do book covers or whatever, I want to talk to you. It's fun. It's a great way to talk and just to share about our love for books. That's what we all have in common. Make sure you press that bell and subscribe to my channel so that you can get an email anytime I get something that comes up. I will post all of Tracie's information down, including all the information on her pen name, because you're going to want to go check out both. Find out, read both of them. See what you like. Romance is romance. And I know there are a lot of people out there that just are in love with love. I'm one of them. So I want to thank everybody. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.